Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So today we're going to be talking about China. We're going to be talking about how a lot of luxury brands are made in China, as well as how this relates to the whole trade war situation. China is really not backing down. And an outcome of this on social media, it has been revealed, I think many people have known that many products have been made, luxury products specifically have been made in China, but now it's really being revealed on social media. So this from MSN via Independent Online. Quote, an online firestorm is erupting on Chinese social media platforms as creators and influencers expose luxury American brands that claim, quote, made in USA while quietly mass producing goods in Chinese factories, all in response to Donald Trump's latest tariff hikes. President Trump has threatened to impose up to 125% on all Chinese imports. However, China isn't staying silent. Online platforms, including TikTok, are now flooded with videos of Chinese factory workers revealing the origins of big name items from Michael Kors handbags to Coach purses and even Levi's jeans, all supposedly American made. Now, I think a lot of consumers know that Michael Kors, Coach, Levi's, a lot of these products are made outside of the United States. Many of them are actually made in China. But I think it is a reminder to many that a lot of the products that people enjoy do come from China and a lot of countries that have been caught up in this trade war. But what I'm also seeing with a lot of these TikToks, it's not just limited to American brands, it's extended to European brands, European luxury brands. While a lot of these brands that we know and love, many of them are, quote, made in Italy, France, Spain, Portugal. Some I think are a little bit more transparent than others. I think like Prada has openly stated that their products are made in China, as well as Balenciaga. Some of their products have been made in China. So some brands are a little bit more transparent, but what is being revealed in a lot of these TikToks is how a lot of these products, many of them stating like made in Italy, France, etc., a lot of them are actually made in China. Then the branding or other finishes, other parts of the product are finished in Europe, at least according to a lot of these TikToks. There is a TikTok which explains how a lot of Dior's ready-to-wear, specifically the knitwear, is made in China.
And you still don't know who are the suppliers behind Dior? Their knitwears and cardigans are from Beyond Garments from Hangzhou. Beyond Garments is also the supplier behind many luxury brands from America and Europe like Sandra, Maj, and Versace. Second, most of the Dior's cosmetic products are actually produced by Taiho Group, which is also the supplier behind Lancôme and Loewe. Third, 24-hour packaging technology from Shenzhen provide exquisite packaging and bags for Dior.
And of course, last year it was revealed that Dior had allegedly, through third parties, their bags had been made in like sweatshop-like conditions. Allegedly, I need to say that here. Of course, what I'm referencing in this video are TikToks I'm seeing. I'll have everything linked down below. Again, it's alleged. I'm no authority on information like this. I'm just a YouTuber that likes to talk about handbags at the end of the day. And of course, this topic is related to handbags, so I'm going to talk about it. But I'll link everything down below. As what is being revealed on social media, many of these brands are made in China. But what I also think is interesting as I'm watching a lot of these TikToks is they'll give you the spiel of how a lot of these products, they are made in these factories in China, and this is the name of the factory. But then it's like an advertisement for these factories. So this is where these products are being made, which is incredibly fascinating to see and to know. But as I'm hearing these TikToks, it is kind of the same language I would hear if I was like watching TikToks on like dupes or like go buy a fake by this brand. Quote, rebel against the system because you don't need to pay the markup. Go directly to the source.
Italy, Gucci, 80% come from Chinese factory. They just add the logo in Europe to make you pay the price of 10 times. Close your eyes. If your hammer says made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not quality issue. It's luxury brand washing. Fun fact, the hand stitching your Prada, 42% are Chinese artisans. We don't do cheap, we do underrated luxury. Why pay 2,000 Euro for Parisian air? Same leather, same craft, just without the European fairy tale facts. Be a luxury rebel, you can shop on Chinese platform such as Taobao, 1688, Tianmao, Jingdong. You can even go directly to Guangzhou, Yiwu, Quanzhou, Wenzhou to buy. Don't know how to buy, how to pay, or arrange delivery? just PM me. Goal next to provide free shopping guidance and shipping services for you.
So in many ways, these factories are advertising these products to Americans or to other parts of the world to potentially buy from them directly. A similar instance, it's not quite the same thing, but there's a TikTok explaining how at one of these factories, they use the same leathers that Hermes uses, the materials, the threads, the hardware, but they're going to sell you that bag at a fraction. Now, of course, they don't have the same Hermes trained artisans, but you hear how many love Hermes because of the materials, the leathers, the colors, the hardware, etc. Of course, there's the side of these bags. A lot of people feel like they come with a certain kind of status, but you can get this bag, the look of it at least, the material, the feel, maybe not 100% the same artisanal craftsmanship, but these TikToks argue these bags are very, very close. But overall, a lot of these TikToks are claiming a lot of these products, these luxury branded products from many of these major brands, Gucci, Dior, a lot of them are actually made in these factories. Parts may be finished in Europe, but that's why there is this argument in favor of dupes, of fakes. A lot of the fakes, a lot of the dupes are being produced in these exact same factories. So you're hearing this whole argument of you should just buy the replica, you should just buy the dupe or whatever, save your money and put it into like proper investments. You're in essence getting something very similar. Another video that is also being circulated is one on Lululemon. Now, I wouldn't really say Lululemon, it's luxury, more just like brand name sportswear. As a Canadian, it's very popular here, extremely popular. Half the moms I see taking their kids to my son's preschool are wearing Lululemon at least. But their leggings retail for $100, but according to this factory, you can buy them for $5 or $6. A lot of these TikToks talk about how similar factories, it's a similar situation with other sportswear brands, Nike, Adidas. It's better to go to the source in China and buy these products. But just going back to handbags, there really is this ongoing debate, this forever debate about dupes versus the real thing, fakes versus the real thing. Now it is being revealed that many of these bags, they're made in the same factories. The difference is you're paying a huge markup for the quote real thing. That's supposed to be the main difference. Now, of course, that's not, I don't think, the case with every single luxury brand, but a lot of the major luxury brands that are being cited, Prada, Gucci, Dior, maybe some finishes, branded elements are finalized in Europe, but in essence, what you are getting is the same thing. And seeing these videos really reminded me of a video from Tanner Leatherstein talking about how difficult it was to authenticate a Prada bag he purchased off of a secondhand website because the fakes and the real thing are so close to each other, apparently.
More than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China, but those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing.
Another video has emerged discussing Birkenstocks being made in China. Now, I personally really enjoy Birkenstocks, but many people are disputing these claims because Birkenstocks are made in Germany. Now, one thing about Birkenstocks, it was also a brand that has been recently acquired by LVMH or some branch of LVMH, which also owns Dior, Louis Vuitton, etc. Many of the brands that a lot of these videos are claiming most of their products are pretty much made in China. But a lot of people are saying that this certain video, it's likely that what is being sold here are fakes or dupes because Birkenstocks are supposed to at least be made in Germany. And I think that's what's happening here. It's really hard to know. I don't think a lot of these brands are 100% transparent. Think about the case with the sweatshops in Italy. But I was honestly thinking, as somebody that really enjoys Birkenstocks, do I really mind if these are made in China? And to me, I just think, is the quality still there? I think another important question I have, are these workers being treated fairly? Which is really hard to know. Are there human rights abuses? Also, when we're thinking about a lot of these luxury brands, how much is the markup? Just because something is made in Italy, does it warrant it being 10 times the price of, say, a brand like Coach, which feels a lot more fair in terms of their pricing, but they're more open about their products being made in China, Vietnam, Indonesia, places like that. But is a Dior bag bag better because it's made in Italy? And what if the conditions in Italy, what if they are working in sweatshop-like conditions? On the flip side, what if workers in China, what if they have better working conditions than the workers in Italy? And I think that's what a lot of these videos are making us question, where we buy our luxury goods from, as well as many of them end with a click this link or go here to find this product. Personally, I don't have an interest in buying a $200 luxury branded dupe version or supposedly like same bag from the same factory, or $6 leggings. I do think this is really just another way to get consumers to continue to consume during the trade war, but I do think it does change our perceptions of what is luxury.
That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. You know, those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury.
My personal thoughts when seeing these videos, it's been something that has been talked about and even reported on and known, but it is very interesting to see like this huge wave of TikTok content around this topic. It hasn't convinced me to want to buy $6 leggings, a $200 dupe bag. I will say, since this tariff war, since what's been going down, Canada felt the brunt of this at first, and it really made me think about my own personal spending, which I have cut back substantially. But I was also thinking about this when I went to Banff recently. It's a little town in this mountainous region in Alberta, and one thing that has been on my wish list for a very long time was I wanted to get a jewelry piece made of garnet. There's a certain kind of garnet that it actually comes from Alberta, so I was actually able to pick up a pair of earrings for a fraction of what a lot of these luxury branded companies would charge. You know the ones I'm talking about. That will charge quite a bit, and you're paying for the brand name at the end of the day. Of course, the experience, the retail experience, the legacy of the brand, etc., but a lot of it is in the brand name. I wanted garnet just simply because it's my son's birthstone, but I picked up these earrings. They were made in Canada, no branding. I paid $38 for them, which I thought was very fair for the size of the stone. They were garnet with sterling silver, and I purchased it from this really small business that sold local gemstone jewelry specific to Alberta. There are certain regions in Alberta where you can like find garnet, but I really thought it was great. I was able to go to a small business, get this straight from the source. It was obtained ethically. There's no middleman. Of course, it's not branded, but I was really happy with the price I paid for these. I was thinking about how at one point I was thinking of going to some expensive brand to get something like 10 or 20 times the price, made with smaller stones. Of course, it doesn't have the same luxury name, but it's in the design and materials I wanted. That's just been something I've been thinking about a lot more recently, design and materials over the luxury brand. There are still some things I do enjoy that are luxury items, like I'm always gonna love a cashmere sweater or a coat, because not only is it a lot warmer than other wools, it's also a lot more lightweight. I just also don't like to buy like polyplastic, like looking wool sweaters from cheaper brands. Like I know I can probably get the look for less, but again, it's like the materials as well as the aesthetic. But even nowadays, a lot of luxury brands, they don't even use 100% cashmere, and a lot of them are using like more poly blends, or you know, you don't even know what kind of wool or material they're actually using. But I have, for instance, this really great Laura Piana sweater that I bought pre-loved. It feels amazing. I love the material. The design is really nice, and I got it pre-loved, purchased it in person, and I was able to touch and feel the product, try it on. And another point related, I'm not gonna like rule out buying from China. I do think there is currently this attempt to be very anti-China right now. But if I think about something like cashmere, it comes mainly from China, or China, Mongolia, that region. And that's where cashmere goats come from. For a cashmere sweater, as long as it's like a design and material shade I like, I could go to a brand like Lisa Yang. I'm not going to be able to get 100% cashmere sweater from Canada. But then on the flip side, for something like winter coats made with goose feathers, that's something I'm happy to buy Canadian, which is what I've always done. I also just need to know that a coat is able to withstand certain temperatures. So I'm also thinking about what brands specialize in certain products. What are they known for? What makes them competitive? Is it due to the brand's heritage, or even just something like its regional or natural resource access? So that's what I think a lot of these videos are like making me think of. I also think when looking at a lot of these videos, China really has advanced their production, their manufacturing to a level I think it's becoming very hard for the United States to compete with. Maybe you've seen these videos floating around, these AI videos. They're not very kind to America, by the way, showing Americans working in these factories. It does feel like China is laughing at America with some of these videos. They're laughing at Trump, at least, with some of these tariffs. Of course, a lot of people will compare like China and European brands, but with what has been revealed with a lot of these brands, with these sweatshops in Italy, I don't know if a lot of these brands can really stand on the same high horse. And of course, another thing I also want to say though is a lot of what we're seeing with these TikToks, it's the best of these factories. That's what is being advertised here, right? They're also wanting to sell to Americans or the rest of the world what they're able to offer, right? Are there possible labor conditions? Very likely, but we know in Europe, at least with some of these sweatshops, that also happens there. In America, I was just reading about how they're gonna lift child labor laws in Florida. I think with this whole tariff situation, it would have been great if it could have been from this point of view, from this perspective of wanting to advance labor conditions, certain labor laws. That's not really been, unfortunately, the focus of this trade war. I think overall, for me personally, with the tariff situation, it just made me feel very uncertain. I think this year I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on handbags, but nor do I want to buy like $100 dupes either. I don't want to buy $6 leggings. I think if anything, what it has made me think about is looking locally first. But I know that I can't get everything from Canada. I know that there's likely things I'll have to get in China or Europe or wherever, but I do think it's making me look at things in Canada or pre-loved. But yes, that's my video for today. I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.